I see the morning coming in your eyes. Jubilee, Jubilee. It's shining brighter than the sun in the sky. Jubilee, Jubilee. I hear your joy bells ringing in your voice. Jubilee, Jubilee. You're kind of singing, cutting through the noise. Jubilee, Jubilee. Oh, Jubilee, Jubilee. You're the kind of joy that I need. It's shining brighter than the
Watch my step. Oh, please not. You good? Alrighty, dighty. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. This is our third presentation and discussion of the day. And as you can see behind me, this is going to be a show and tell about some amazing work being done in the city of Philadelphia. This is going to be an expose of sorts and a showcase of the Living in Color Project Season 1 as well as Season 2. Just Season 2? Okay, just Season 2, y'all. Just Season 2. But if you're looking for Season 1, it is on Instagram, and there are a lot of ways for you to see those pictures and those folks. But today we'll be talking about Season 2. So behind us are the youth, and I'm going to bring up the person who's going to talk all about it, our creative director, and I say our because I'm a part of it, our creative director, Roscoe Scott.
Hi, y'all. Happy Pride. Thank y'all. All right, so just to get a brief background about me, my name is Roscoe. I am a HIV advocate for 9 years now. Thank you. I primarily work at the Addict Youth Center, where I am the FRESH coordinator. FRESH stands for Philadelphia's Resource Empowerment for Sexual Health. So my main job is to help give an increase in HIV testing, prevention, safe sex supplies, and linkage into medical care for LGBT youth. Being a staff at the Addict, it's a lot of things that I see youth go through and youth really want. One of the things I know that youth want were to actually take pictures. So the Live in Color Project, which we started last year in 2024, decided to partner with the Addict Youth Center to make Live in Color Project Season 2, the Youth Edition. So, just to give a brief background about Live in Color is a Philadelphia-based project that, again, started last year in 2024 that aims to bring out visibility, representation, and just overall storytelling through the progressive Pride Flag colors using 11 different models to represent each color, whether that's showing outfits, scenery, just anything to represent that color. So without further ado, let me get into each model of this color. We have red, this is Nas. We have orange, Scarlet. This is Esther for yellow. We got green for Angel. Blue for Nafi. We got Jarrett as purple. Zay representing black. Isaiah representing brown, Jordan representing light blue, Nevada representing pink, and Brianna representing white. So as you see, these youth took a great time to figure out their outfits, and they look stunning, do they not? Yes. Thank you. So now I'm going to show you guys a brief video, kind of detailing a little bit about the journey of the project and everybody else's pictures. So.
Slow, take off the slow. Get him out to the bubble to make it go. Release the wiggle. Release the wiggle. Release your anger. Release your mind. Release your job. Release the time. Release the strain. Release the stress. Release your love. Forget the rest.
For any of those interested, Rotunda is having a mini Vogue ball on June 13th. July 13th. It's hot, y'all.
Release your anger, release your mind, release your job, release the time, release your trade, release the stress, release your love, forget the rest.
Ooh, yes, y'all. What do y'all think of that? Thank you so much. I want to give a special shout out to the photographer for the youth edition, Chandler. They did an amazing job just like help capturing these images, like literally told the visions. I was there for every step of the way of just like helping them youth get everything together, and they were grateful enough to like actually take these images. So I just want to say thank you, Chandler. You couldn't be here today, but I do appreciate you, brother. Without further ado, let's get one of the participants, Scarlett, up here to talk a little bit about their experience with the project.
I'm gonna stand near my picture because you know. I don't know if I should stand in front of it or if I should stand behind it. I don't know. I'm not trying to block it. Stand. Okay, cool. So I did not prepare a spiel, but I just wanted to talk about, I guess, the vibe that I wanted to go for with my color. I was a bit surprised when I got orange at first because I was like, oh, this is a color that I don't have on my wardrobe and that I don't normally wear. But I wanted to really, do something special with it and make it my own. I was kind of going for like an embers feel, so like the embers of a flame. And it's fitting because this happened at a perfect time for me because I was going through a lot mentally and emotionally, a lot of transitions with just like relationships. And then at the same time, I was moving into my new apartment. I had a new job coming up. And so there was a lot of transition. And what I wanted to focus on in my picture was the feelings of healing, but also death and rebirth. And kind of like the Phoenix motif. And so that's how I tried to portray myself when wearing the color orange. So yeah, I think it turned out really well. This happened at, again, the perfect time in my life. And I'm really thankful to Roscoe Chandler and everyone else involved with the project for giving me an opportunity to come out of my temporary modeling retirement to come take these pictures. And I think they turned out really beautifully. I had a great time at the group shoot, shooting with everybody, and it was a really wonderful experience. And hopefully, I hope to continue being a part of this project in the future. This project is so important to a lot of people, and it can give people hope, saying that you too can do this, you too can live this life, and that there is community for you, and that it's worthwhile to express yourself and be your truest self.
Thank you, Scarlett. All right, y'all. So now we're going to go to the second part of the project. Again, the Living in Color project started last year, and initially it was just catered to, albeit, you know, an older community, but anybody was offered to join. The youth edition was actually brought up by the youth from the Addict Youth that made me start doing this. So, without further ado, let me introduce you to season 2 of Living in Color. Slideshow. Yeah, so first up, as we go down the rainbow, we have red. This is Dex. Dex is a black bisexual, 25-year-old college football athlete and enthusiast. He's a Virgo, an advocate for youth and safe sex and resource. Red represents, give me 1 second, y'all. I do know what it means, just, you know, I have a list for a reason. Okay. So red represents life in the pride flag. And we asked Dex, you know, what is something that you, or in life that you're grateful for, or who are you grateful for in life? Dex said to never take any opportunity for granted. Take advantage for the most of your life. Use all your resources, take risks, and make opportunities for yourself. So that's why Dex really exudes the color red. Next up, thank you, Faith. We have Orange, who is by Suki from North Philly. She's 23 years old, a DJ, entertainer, and she is Cambodian Latina American. So orange for Suki represents healing. So we asked Suki, since orange represents healing, what have you healed from, and how do you hope to inspire others in the community who need healing? Suki responds, healing is linear. Healing is understanding duality. There is no right or wrong way to heal. I recently healed by being more kind to myself, extending that grace upon myself to realize that I am enough regardless of what I face and overcome. I hope others in this community will allow themselves to extend grace. Next up, we have yellow, represented by Brandon. Brandon is 24 years old, certified corporate patty, African American, gay male, lover, anime, and walks in the park. And I wrote this, and I'm just reading to see how funny it is. Enterprise represents sunlight. Who represents yellow? How do you radiate positive energy within your life and others? Brandon says, I radiate light in my life and others by ensuring that people feel safe. I've been told that I brighten up people's day just by my kindness alone. I'm able to shine because I am real positive. I am real and positive about my life. I'm safe sex around me simply because it's my, safe spaces. Safe space. well, yes, sex. Safe spaces around me simply because of Mara. Next up, we have green, represented by Well.Yes. Well.Yes is 25, from Philly, black, gay, climate justice activist, hiking, gaming, reading, and black literature. Or, I'm sorry, reading black literature. So, on the progressive pride flag, green represents nature and growth. We asked Well.Yes, what is one way you want to have grown this year, and what would you tell someone in the community who's struggling with growth? Well.Yes says, one way that I have grown is through enhancing my activism work. Also, I have grown by being more vulnerable, present with myself. I will tell people not to fear growth. Do not tell people in the scene to stop you from growing. Your growth does and will always matter. Allow yourself to grow and welcome the new you. Next up, we have blue, who is represented by Gigi. Gigi is cisgender, gay male, Latinx, a person not living with HIV who advocates for people living with HIV, loves anime, cartoons, and music. So we asked Gigi's because blue represents, since serenity in the flag. Why is it most important and to experience calmness within your queer community? Gigi says, it's important because our identity, passions, and interests and freedom are all under attack. Though this is not a new battle, we are experiencing an unpredictable influx of hate. Rather than feed into it, going back, we must act more productively. Since serenity in your life, serenity in your identity must coexist, I would rather die fighting for my life and what I want and deserve, doing anything authentically, than to be in vain and rage life in a lie. Ooh, it's hot up here, y'all. That's next up, we have Purple, represented by Spaz. Spaz is 33, bisexual male who is Muslim and a Kiki C legend, and he is a big Capricorn, not the little one. Purple represents spirit in the flag. So we asked Spaz, how do you balance spirituality with your queerness? Spaz says, being Muslim and gay is something that I often frown upon. There's a beauty in upholding both identities because I believe spirituality should not only be awarded to certain people, all people have a right way to experience spirituality in their own ways. Next up, we have John. John is 28, black, from South African roots, pansexual, and lives in Camden, New Jersey, AKA East Philadelphia. If you know, you know. All right, so on the progressive pride flag, black represents people of color in community and those who have living with or lost to HIV and AIDS. So we asked John, how do you exude black excellence, and what is your connection to those living with or lost to HIV? Oh, that's a lot. John says, though I personally do not live with the diagnosis, I know others who are affected that often maneuver through it with grief. With health scares in the past and many things and from my personal life changing, I experienced a certain amount of grief. What I've learned was that grief does not have a time limit. The best way to navigate grief is to go through it with the mindset that is not that defining and not that definite and end to anyone's story. I use overcoming grief to inspire myself to serve my community. I exude black excellence by paving the way for more than that representation within my queer community. As a black and queer professor, I am committed to expanding spaces that need to experience such excellence where Academy is at the forefront. I'm almost done, y'all. It's the same heat. All right. Next up, we have Brown, represented by Konaya, who is 27, from Detroit, black bisexual male, lover and preserver. I know. I'm sorry, y'all. I can't read cursive. Of the arts, founder and I know. I can read. Director of the Voice of Philadelphia. Thank you, Scarlett. So Brown represents black and brown people of color in the community who face marginalization. So we asked Konaya, how do you exude black excellence, and what is your response to the support of marginalized groups? Konaya says, I exude black excellence through the preservation of black art. As a performer, art educator, and practitioner, I have committed myself to learning, understanding the importance of black influences within the art. As a culture rooted in the community arts and talent, I believe it is imperative that we honor the black voices and the black experience. I am a founder and artistic director of the Voice of Philadelphia, a choir organization that specializes in unearthly and rich legacies of Negro spiritual music. Along with wanting to preserve this important art form, I felt that it's necessary to create spaces for people that of all walks of life to join one in making sound together. My work goes beyond the basic scope of choir. It is a promise to always uplift the Black voices and make our story stay alive. Next up, for light blue, we have Brick. Brick is 25, trans mass lesbian, multidisciplinary, I'm sorry, y'all, it's really the heat. Multidisciplinary artist, first generation Italian American, and a cat dad. So, light blue represents a trans identity. So we asked Brick, how does your identity bring joy to your life? Brick says, I knew I was a lesbian, but I didn't know I was trans at the time. I am overjoyed by the way I show up for myself and live in my authenticity. I am honored to be an image of hope for those who identify similar to me. Next up for Pink, we have Zaya Rose. She is 21. Sorry, y'all, what did I say? Senator, I know, the sweat's getting in my eyes, I'm sorry. Senator American, Black, transgender, bisexual woman from West Philadelphia, community agent, scholar, fabulous, doing the most. So Pink also represents a trans identity. So we asked Zaya, same question, how does she bring her identity joy into her life? So Zaya says, due to being trans, I'm able to understand a different, more deeper part of myself. Though it's a hard path to walk, there isn't any other choice which is beautiful for my journey's sake. My identity is almost like armor engulfed in a sanctuary. And last but not least, Trinity. Trinity is 36. Oof. Today now she very no, I didn't. Very queer. Queer as fuck. Founder of the executive director of Incorporate and founder and owner of Black 5683 LLC. So we asked Trinity. Oh, sorry. White represents trans and non-binary identities. So we asked Trinity the same question on how they experience joy in their life and how they experience the duality of that and their identity. So Trinity says, at this point in my life, I have chosen freedom over fear. I don't believe that duality is always a good thing because it limits life to two sides. I've learned to love both femininity and masculinity and how harmonious that they truly are. While loving both sides, I've learned to expand out even further to better cultivate inclusive lifestyle. What was once only two-sided has now become manufactured and more fulfilling for me. So that's everybody for Living in Color Season 2, y'all. I just want to thank y'all so much. You know, this heat was killing me. But I do want to give like a personal shout out to the photographer, Tahir. This person actually spent out with me for days in every day, just with like the editing, the process of picking the pictures, even just helping him like scope the pictures out on where to take the pictures at. So Tahir, I love you and I could not have done this without you. Do you want to have a few words to say?
I'm not gonna lie. Oh. I'm not gonna lie, I had a 2-year hiatus and this forced me to be an artist again. So I'm really happy that I was part of this project.
Thank you so much again, and I just want to give final remarks. So literally this project is made to help create representation opportunity. So you know, next year we'll be doing applications around January, February. So look out, follow us on Instagram at Living in Color Philly. So that's LINVINGIN Color, COLOR, and then Philly, PHILLY. And if you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, I will be outside. Thank you guys for your time, and have a great one.
on point. Power to the peaceful, prayers to the one at the center. I'm made of thunder, I'm made of lightning, I'm made of dirt, yeah, made of fine things. Father taught me, understand this world was made for me, so let's go and try our luck. See, I've got my roots down, 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 down deep. I've got my roots down, 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 down deep. I've got my roots down, down, down deep. I've got my roots down, down, down deep. So what are we doing here? What has been done? What are you gonna do about it when the world comes undone? My voice feels tiny, and I'm sure so does yours. Put us all together, make a mighty I am resilient, I trust the movement, negate the chaos, uplift the negative. I'll show up at the table again and again and again. I'll close my mouth and learn to listen.
Baby, don't make me spell it out for you. All of the feelings that I got for you can't be explained, but I can try for you. Yeah, moon picked you out of the sky. Maybe I met you for a reason, and I can't believe that we're both alive at the same time. Is this heaven now? Am I dreaming now? Am I dreaming? You're my one in a million, and I can't believe that we're both alive at the same time. And I can't believe that we're both alive at the same time. You got me speeding through the red lights. Yeah, I'm on my way. We do it feel right. Yeah, you got me so you're my one in a million. It's like someday you out of the sky. Maybe I met you for a reason. But we're both alive at the same time. Is this heaven now? Am I dreaming now? Am I dreaming? You're my one in a million, and I can't believe that we're both alive at the same time.
So I cut you off, I don't need your love, 'cause I already cried enough, I've been done, I've been moving on, so please say goodbye. I cut you off, I don't need your love, so you can try all you want. Your time is up, I'll tell you why. You say you're sorry, but it's too late now, so save it, get gone, shut up. 'Cause if you think I care about you now, well, boy, I don't give a fuck. I see you trying to get to me. I see you begging on your knees. Boy, I don't give a fuck. So stop trying to get to me. Get above your knees, 'cause boy, I don't give a fuck about you. No, I don't give a damn. You keep reminiscing on when you were my man, but I'm over you. Now you're all in the focus. You talk all that sweet talk, but I ain't coming back. Cut you off, I don't need your love, so you can try all you want. Your time is up, I'll tell you why. You say you're sorry, but it's too late now, so save it, get gone, shut up. Too late now. 'Cause if you think I care about you now, well, boy, I don't give a fuck. Boy, I don't give a fuck. I see you trying to get to me. I see you begging on your knees. Boy, I don't give a fuck. So stop trying to get to me. Get above your knees, 'cause boy, I don't give a fuck.
Prima donna girl, yeah. All I ever wanted was the world. I can't help that I need it all. The prima donna life, the rise and fall. You say that I'm kinda difficult, but it's always someone else's fault. Got you wrapped around my finger, babe. You can count on me to misbehave. A prima donna girl, would you do anything for me? Buy a big diamond ring for me? Would you get down on your knees for me? Pop that pretty question right now, baby. Beauty queen on a silver screen, living life like I'm in a dream. I know I've got a big ego, I really don't ever wanted was the world. I can't help that I need it all. The prima donna life, the rise and fall. You say that I'm kinda difficult, but it's always someone else's fault. Got you wrapped around my finger, babe. You can count on me to misbehave. A prima donna girl. Fill the void up with celluloid. Take a picture, I'm with the boys. Get what I want, cause I asked for it. Not because I'm really that deserving of it. Living life like I'm in the play. In the limelight, I want to stay. I know I've got a big ego. I really don't know why it's such a big deal though. Going up, going down, down, down. Anything for the crown, crown, crown. When the lights dim down, 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 I spin around. Cause I'm a prima donna girl, yeah. All I ever wanted was the world. I can't help that I need it all. The prima donna life, the rise and fall. You say that I'm kinda difficult, but it's always someone else's fault. Got you wrapped around my finger, babe. You can count on me to misbehave. Prima donna girl, yeah. All I ever wanted was the world. I can't help that I need it all. The prima donna life, the rise and fall. You say they are kinda difficult, but it's always
Oh, you're so sweet. Hi, beautiful people. All right. Before we wrap up this beautiful day, I think it's important that we do some Prevention Meets Fashion. So next, we're going to have Prevention Meets Fashion come up here and do a presentation that I think is very valuable and important for us because it doesn't just tell us about fashion, it tells us about the history, but it also attaches the advocacy and all of the work that's behind it that makes fashion so fabulous. When we see World.Yes Day and we see fashion shows, when we see awareness days of any kind, or we see people be like, oh, I love fashion, but don't know how to incorporate it into the work that they do, especially us as advocates. Yes, I look like this today, but my fashion is also an expression of who I am, my sexuality, my gender, and all of those amazing things, and each and every one of you are about to learn about how to do that too. So next, we have Prevention Meets Fashion. Nakia Outland, come hit the stage.
I guess I'll stand here so I can read it, the PowerPoint. But thank y'all for coming out. As Trinity said, I'm Nakia Outland. My pronouns are she and her. And I am the founder and executive director of Prevention Meets Fashion. And today I'm just going to talk a little bit about social justice and fashion. I'm not going to go too in depth because we could be here all night, but I just curated a couple of slides and a video just to show you how fashion has always been a tool, not only for us to wear our fashion and clothing against the elements, but also a way for us to make a statement in some of the movements, especially some of the movements that we're still seeing today, and how their clothing spoke volumes to what they were also protesting, especially for a lot of Black and queer people, our words weren't heard as loud as much as our clothing. So as we're going through the slides, I would like y'all to try to think about the connections that you're seeing today, right? So I have some slides in here about hair discrimination, dress codes, all of these things that we're seeing today has been going on throughout our history. So when I go out and talk to folks, they're like, well, this is new. I'm like, it's not new. For Black and queer people, this has been going on for years, and we're still fighting just to be able to just walk through the doors and look and be and feel like ourselves, okay? So that's just a little bit about what I'm going to talk about today, and excuse me if my back is turned to you, just because I need to look at the slides. So next slide. So just a little bit about Prevention Meets Fashion if you didn't come outside to our table. We are a 501c3 grassroots nonprofit, and our mission is to increase sexual health knowledge in communities of color, Black, LGBTQ and non-binary communities through fashion advocacy, community, and education. That's also the framework that we use throughout all of our programs and all of our initiatives at Prevention Meets Fashion. Next slide. So the learning objectives for the day, like I said, is to examine how fashion was and is used to create social change, examine how fashion can be a form of activism, identify, connect, create new ideas, knowledge, and ways of looking at social justice and fashion, and examine social justice issues through fashion. Next slide. So just our community agreement, respect each other pronouns, be curious, respectful, and open. As I said, my pronouns are she and her, but you can also call me just Nakia. Practice critical thinking and reflection. So again, as I'm going through these slides, think about where it fits into you personally, but also the greater population or the people that you may work with. Right? No one knows everything, but together we know a lot. Even though, like I said, I do a lot with social justice and fashion, it might be some things that I don't know, right? And it's okay. And are there any other things that you feel like should be listed up here just for today? All right. So just going over some definitions, next slide, before we get started, just to create a baseline. So what is social justice? Social justice has many, many different definitions. Social justice is one of those terms that, depending on the population, it changes, but overall it has the same sentiments, right? So social justice is the view that everyone deserves equal economic, political, social rights and opportunities, and that's from the NASW, or the National Association of Social Workers, which I'm a part of, as I'm a master's level social worker. But also when I'm working in other areas, it's important to understand how social justice, or how they define social justice in those terms. So in contemporary politics, social science, or political philosophy, it is the fair treatment and equitable status of all individuals and social justice groups within a state or society. It is fair treatment of all people in society, including respect for the rights of minorities and equitable distribution of resources among members of the community. And that's from dictionary.com. And that's the definition that we normally go by, right? We want everyone to have equal, equitable access to the resources that are out here. But as we know, Black and queer people, which I'm centering today, don't necessarily have equitable resources or access to equitable resources. Next slide. So using a social justice framework is a way of seeing and acting aimed at resisting unfairness and inequity while enhancing freedom and possibility for all. Social justice begins with our understanding of ourselves. So there's many people and organizations that say that they're social justice focused, but when you go in and you start peeling off those layers, they're not really social justice focused, right? Because it has to begin with ourselves. So if we're believing that the people that we're working with is not deserving of the resources, then that's not social justice, right? And as a social worker, unfortunately, I've been in a lot of organizations and spaces where social workers don't agree with certain rights of Black people or certain rights of LGBTQ people, but yet they're sitting there being helping person, but causing more harm. So again, social justice is a way we have to look at ourselves first, deep dive into ourselves and understand our biases before we can go out there and saying that we're practicing or doing social justice, okay? Next slide. So activism is an action or series of actions that are implemented to bring about political or social change. Activism can take many forms of primary goals, which is 1, raise awareness about political and social issues facing our community. 2, to influence and change policies and practices to create social and political injustices. So like what this event is about today, right? It's about bringing attention to the needs that the youth, especially queer youth, need today, okay? So this is an act of activism, just being here today and talking about your services that these youth could benefit today. Next slide. So what is fashion? So I always ask this question because some people, depending on who's in the audience, may be in the fashion field, and for them, fashion is totally different, right? It's a style, it's a look, it changes over time. But for other people, fashion is their everyday expression, what they wear every day, what they believe in. It's a piece of clothing, right? Whereas again, in the fashion world, they separate out fashion and clothing and jewelry and hair, right? Today, the way that we're looking at fashion, it encompasses all of that, so that intersectionality view, right? Next slide. So just some discussion questions that I want us to think about, and I'm gonna come back and maybe ask you if you're okay with that. But what is fashion? Who dictates fashion? Think about who dictates fashion, right? What is the purposes of fashion? What role does fashion play in society? Is fashion dangerous? Is fashion liberation, right? So for many of us, fashion can be very dangerous. For many of us, the way that we want to dress, the way that we want to express ourselves, we can't, because when we walk outside the doors, we might be harmed, right? And I'm just talking about it from the US perspective, but in other countries, I also practice with African and Caribbean people, especially African Caribbean queer people. They can't walk out and wear a pride flag or wear a pride shirt or anything like that, right? In some countries, they can't even wear what I have on right now because I'm showing parts of my body, right? It can be very dangerous for some folks, right? But fashion is also liberation, it's also healing. But also we have a long way to get to that liberation, because many of us still can't wear and express ourselves the way that we want to express ourselves because of the heavy policing of fashion or clothing. Next slide. So what does social justice have to do with fashion? Again, it has to do with liberation or healing. Social justice change. Resistance, activism, collectivism. Fashion is storytelling, and most of all, fashion is communication. And that's just a few about a few things of what fashion has to do with social justice. It's many, many more, but these are the main ones that you're going to be seeing today. Next slide. So social justice and fashion, again, I want you to think about fashion brands and activism, right? Think about how fashion brands have connected to the LGBTQ community, the HIV and AIDS community, how they're represented, right? A lot of these communities and brands, they do a lot of activism, but then when they're confronted with the issue, they pull back their activism, right? A lot of times. Think about some of the track stars who weren't pregnant or parenting at the time that they got their deals, and then as soon as they became pregnant, no, I no longer want you to be the face. And so they pull back their deals because that's not the image that I want people to see, right? Think about some of the fashion brands who you never see them put a LGBTQ flag on anything, but during Pride Month, here we go with the rainbow washing, right? So think about all of this, right? Think about how fashion brands and activism connects to sexual violence. It's been several designers who have made statements on a runway opposing sexual violence. If you don't know, sexual violence is very prevalent within the fashion community, and several models have spoken up of all genders, but it gets put under the radar because people feel like, well, I'm not going to get to be where I need to be because the designer can blackball me. And that's just in the fashion world, but in other areas of, again, think about our community. In other areas, this happens as well, where people are blackballed if they speak up. Think about what's happening right now with the Diddy trial and how many of those people are not probably going to gain interest after this because they spoke up, or how many people are going to justify the violence and the coercion that's happening to these folks, whether it be men, women, whoever that are testifying, that in the future what's going to happen, right? So think about all of these things. Clothing insecurity, we can't forget about that. Cultural appropriation is a big one. Dress codes and colorism. Next slide. So dress codes is to assert political and political control and social hierarchies throughout history. So a lot of people think that dress codes are good, right? Like when the uniform thing came to Philly, everybody was like, yes, the parents going to save money, the kids are going to stop fighting. All of these things they thought was going to be solved by dress codes, and it did not solve it because kids are kids. They're going to find a way to say, hey, you have on French toast and I have on polo. It's just going to be that way, right? Or the parents still can't afford to pay for the uniforms because they're costly, and kids play, it gets ripped and everything. So dress codes is not all what it's cracked up to be, but dress codes has a real history of transphobia, homophobia, racism, sexism throughout time. And I'm not going to get into that because I could do a whole talk about dress codes and why I essentially don't like dress codes. But dress codes, like I said, have a long history of political control. The same way with and I'm going to say the same way with bathroom bills. It's not about a bathroom. It's not about someone using a bathroom. It's about so much more than that. So in the 1700s in the South Carolinas, it was a thing called the Negro Act, and it made it illegal for black people to dress above their condition. So if you were poor and you wanted to dress as high society, you couldn't. It was against the law. So think about how that is today, right? When many of us walk into our jobs, right, and someone may see us with a Gucci belt on or something, and the first thing that comes to mind, instead of saying, oh, that's a nice belt, oh, how are you able to afford that? You getting paid when I'm getting paid, right? All of that comes from somewhere. We have to know the history of that, right? Or, implementing these dress codes in these organizations. So many of these organizations spend so many time on their dress codes where we could be talking about raises and everything else. It doesn't make any sense, okay? Laws in the United States at times also required black people and slaves to dress in clothing that was considered appropriate, again, for their status, which was low status. And so I think I'm going to get into it a little bit, but I think it fits right here with denim. So denim was known as Negro cloth. They didn't want denim. It was a scrap of material until we made it into something, and then Levi's popped out, right? So if you don't know, Levi's wasn't the first people to make denim. Right? They popularized it, but they weren't the first people to wear it. And a lot of especially my grandparents, I always wondered why my grandmother never wanted to wear jeans or denim or anything. And it goes back to slavery. It goes back to the fields. That was a working in the field material. So that created a lot of trauma. And so therefore, again, with the social justice movements, you'll see a lot of people didn't wear denim. They wore suits, they wore everything but denim until the lunch counters happened. Where they were like, our clothes are being messed up because people was throwing food on them or color or whatever they was throwing on them, and they couldn't afford to really keep washing clothes, so they kept wearing denim because denim hid the dirt, okay? Next slide. So dress codes continued. Again, like I said, dress code reinforces stereotypes. They perpetuate bias. They discriminate against black and people of color, or POC. They're very outdated. They're sexist, they're classist, they're transphobic, and they're ableist in their conformity. And I put classes in there because a lot of times people tend to think that, oh, it's about money and all of this, and it is sometimes. You know, it's some people that work in Washington, D.C. right now that went on record that they actually had to go to thrift stores to get clothes when they first got hired to work in the state senate and stuff, because they wanted to look like the people that was coming out of the state senate, the legislators and stuff. Even though they couldn't afford the clothes, they wanted to keep up that appearance. So it is very classist that I can wear this, I can afford this, right? And sometimes if you don't look like that, you don't get through certain doors, right? So it's a reason too why sometimes people, our clients, may go above their means to get something, and you might be like, well, why are you asking me for, you know, food or transportation, but you just told me you spent $1,000 on shoes, right? Those shoes might get them through a door to get them to an opportunity, right? So we have to dig a little deeper when we're thinking about why some of our clients or even ourselves do certain things, okay? Not all the time is not a negative thing, like we want to keep up with the Joneses. Sometimes it opens doors for us, right? Next slide. So again, finishing up with dress codes. If you haven't heard of this term before, it's called dress coded. And dress coded is the act of receiving detention or being sent home, calling home for a change of clothes, or being granted a visit to the principal office for an infraction of breaking dress codes. And a lot of times, a lot of black girls and LGBTQ folks are dress coded. So they're suspended at higher rates for being dress coded because they didn't adhere to the dress code of their school. Again, black girls are more likely to be disciplined. They're more likely to be looked at as older, so hypersexualized, saying that they're distracting to boys. Again, bringing it back to the Senate, it was a bill that was being passed that it was very strenuous bill. They was going back and forth, but a woman decided to bring up another bill while they were looking at that bill, saying that the women in the Senate couldn't show their shoulders because it was distracting to the men in the Senate. So that bill passed before the actual bill that had some substance, because they didn't want women showing their shoulders on the floor. LGBTQ people need to wear clothes that correspond to their sex at birth. So some institutions still adhere to this, that you can't wear clothing that is not indicative of the sex that you were assigned at birth. Next slide. And now I want to bring in colorism, because this is really big again with black girls, but it just, even though it is indicative of black girls or people of color, it can be within any community, but we mainly see it in the black community. So colorism or skin stratification is a process that privileges light-skinned people over dark-skinned people. Colorism is concerned with actual skin tone as opposed to, again, racial and ethnicity. So there are people who perpetuate colorism are looking at the skin tone, not necessarily your ethnicity. It has roots in the plantation life for enslaved black and American people. People with lighter skin or close proximity to whiteness experiences privileges and better treatment than those of the darker complexion. And colorism is a tool of white supremacy, right? Next slide. So this is what I talked about earlier, the Crown Act, and if you're not aware of it, the Crown Act has been passed in multiple states. I believe it just got passed here in PA, but I don't think, did it get passed as an actual bill here, or was it just parts of it? I forgot, but I know for a long time in PA did not pass the Crown Act. They were passing bits and pieces that said that they couldn't discriminate against people, natural hair, coming to work in school. But the actual bill, I think, we were trying to get passed in PA. So the Crown Act was created in 2019 by Dove and the Crown Coalition, and this is, Crown stands for Creating Respectful Open World Natural Hair, for natural hair. And it's basically a bill to protect against race-based hair discrimination by extending statutory protections to hair texture, protective styles such as braids, locks, twists, knots, in the workplace and public schools. AJ? Yes, thank you. Yes, so hopefully it do get passed. We've been advocating for a long time, and I haven't actually did actual on-the-ground advocating with the Crown Act, but we do a lot of social media advocacy and educational advocacy to bring attention to the Crown Act. because it's something that is very important. A lot of us could be, again, sent home from work or whatever. I remember my natural hair is not as curly as my mom's hair, right? And so I remember I wanted an afro, so I put extensions in as an afro, and I'm not gonna say the clothing store. And on top of that, I was also pregnant, and I don't look my age, so I looked probably about to be 14, but I was grown. And I had this afro when I was pregnant, and I remember this white lady came in with her daughter, and she told my boss at that time, is it appropriate for her to be working in this store so young, pregnant, and I don't think her hair is appropriate to be on the floor. So my boss sent me to the back, and I had to do stock, even though my numbers on the floor was amazing, because y'all know I love fashion, so I knew my clothes. But yes, I got sent to the back, and was told that, my outfit and my appearance wasn't appropriate to be on the floor. That store is no longer in Plymouth Meeting. It was in Plymouth Meeting a long time ago, but that was just one instance. It was another instance. I was working somewhere at a cash register. It was a store, I'm not gonna say it, but they did sponsor some stuff here today. And I got sent, again, I was a manager. Assistant manager, and they pulled me off the floor because the person didn't like my afro, and I worked in Center City. So this is really real, and it happens. So next slide. So this is a nude bar, and if you're not familiar with it, nude bar mission is to combat colorism in the fashion industry. And what this brand did was revolutionary, because there are a lot of black and brown dancers who tights don't match their skin tone, whose stockings don't match their skin tone. I don't know about you, but I grew up with my grandmother and mother wearing white stockings because they couldn't find, or black because they couldn't find skin or flesh color stockings. This clothing chain or organization created stockings in every shade so that we could be able to see ourselves reflected in the hosiery industry. Next slide. So this is a little video. Do we have to do audio? Okay. So this is a little video. We're gonna hopefully speed by it a little bit because I think it's like 3 minutes, but Naima Tang, as you see, is a very dark-skinned, very pretty woman. She is a makeup influencer online, and I'm gonna let her tell you this story, but she basically got sent makeup by these companies, and they purposely sent her makeup that they knew would not match her shade or that was darker. So she actually, I think, was the first person to test the black foundation. Yes, the actual color black, they sent and said that it should blend with our complexion once it's on, but it actually just looked like black paint on our face. And so she called them out for it, but for colorism. So hopefully we can hear it.
I love makeup, but my full force passion is creating the kind of content that I'm creating.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Nima. I hope you guys are excited for another Dark and Shade video.
Just a little?
Super excited to see how this looks.
If someone says you're not beautiful in your own skin, I'm here to tell you that you are. And I think that specifically is my purpose. Knowing that my voice and my platform has been able to have this type of impact is honestly something I never thought I'd be able to do. My name is Nima Tang. I am a content creator online, and I advocate for inclusivity in the beauty industry. My inspiration just comes from things that I think people are gonna wanna see. I hit on a lot of reviews because everyone wants to know what the latest products are like, if they're gonna work for them. I also do chit chat, get ready with me's. My thing is getting as much information out there, because when I was going through that trial and error process, I lost a lot of time and I lost a lot of money, and I don't want to do that to people. I think the biggest impact that I've already had is the messages that I get daily that, oh wow, I didn't know that someone that looked like me was allowed to be as confident as you are. Well, now you've made me love my skin tone, and you made me love myself. This is where all the magic happens. This is my favorite room in the office, obviously, because this is my shooting room, and it's got all my stuff here. Everything on the table is everything that I use on almost every single shoot. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm gonna show you guys how to go from the day to night look in like 3 very simple, easy steps. So if you guys wanna see how I'm doing that today, make sure you guys keep on watching. Okay, so I've got 2 palettes here. My family is actually from South Sudan. I came over here when I was 3, and I really don't remember much, but I've been passed down a lot of stories about all of our cultures and traditions through my dad. I wasn't really drawn to makeup super early on because I had like 6 younger sisters that needed my attention and care. We didn't really have our mom in the house, and I was like focused on helping my dad, so it had to be an afterthought at that point in time. Around 21, I was in college and I was starting to figure out, who am I? I've always loved fashion. That's when I started looking into like the makeup part of fashion. I was getting a lot of my products from the drugstore. Single father with 6 girls, and especially being immigrants
So if
too.
you
You
just
just
pause
don't
it
have
right
money
there.
flowing like that.
Because it's a little
Drugstore
bit
was the most
longer and I can
affordable.
explain. So I'm gonna just pause it right there because it is like 4 minutes long. But she goes into a story of being a Sudanese woman and how she was raised by her dad, and how when she wanted to get into makeup, you know, she didn't have any role models to help her get into makeup. So she started trying to find makeup and do makeup herself, and that's when she discovered that it was no shades for her dark complexion. So thanks to her and some of the other influencers with darker skin, we now have people like Rihanna coming out with shades that match our skin, because previously the makeup industry did not have makeup to match our skin. Even the Bobbi Browns and L'Oreals and all of that, they jumped on the bandwagon afterwards once they started seeing that black people, again, our dollar means a lot, started making money. They jumped on the bandwagon. So now a lot of the black brands that were black owned, black founded are under L'Oreal, are under these different organizations now. But yeah, this is some of, even though this is an earlier day story, you know, again, this goes way back to where, you know, I'm pretty sure you've seen pictures probably of, you know, relatives where their complexion didn't match, you know, in pictures and stuff, right? And that's why, because we didn't have, the makeup industry didn't have us in mind when they were making makeup, especially for darker shades, right? Next slide.
Well, I love.
You gotta hit it once, yeah. And so moving into sexuality, sexual assault, and sexism, next slide. Yes, fashion does intersect with all of those things. This was a story, but we're not gonna play it, but it's called What Were You Wearing? And this is an exhibit actually, I'll play a little bit of it. If you can just go ahead and play it.
This one's mine.
But
right
what
here.
you're seeing right here is an exhibit of what's on the wall. These are fashions of how what
In the
people wore when they were
courtroom, what I
sexually
was wearing
assaulted.
Was a question, and I had to describe what I wore.
It's kind of low.
And I actually
Can you-
wore
okay.
the same tights I was assaulted in to that courtroom because I wasn't ashamed by what I wore.
Her abuser was found guilty of sexual assault.
As an Indigenous woman, going up against a white man assaulter and getting justice is almost unheard of.
She hopes adding her story to this classroom exhibit will inspire others. Clothing representing that worn by survivors when they were assaulted. Christmas pajamas, a Raptors hoodie, sweatpants, and dress pants.
This one is really difficult.
Yeah. I'm aware of the statistics of children in sexual assault, but even when this was submitted,
So I'm going to stop it
my
there
heart was
because,
like,
again, I don't want to re-traumatize anyone who in the room may have a history or know someone. But what were you wearing? This is just one of the exhibits of what you were wearing. And what they do is they go around and they ask people to display articles of clothing of when they've been sexually assaulted. Because for some reason, the courts and some people still think that only people that wear revealing clothes get sexually assaulted, right? But as you saw, it's little tutus, it's pajamas in there, it's people with hoodies and sweatpants, right, that get assaulted. So your clothing has nothing to do with you know, looking, you know, sexual or, you know, wanting sex or anything like that. These are just people wearing clothes. And this is really important because I advocate for this all the time, and you still see it even in policies. I'm a macro social worker, so I read a lot of policies and go into a lot of communities, and a lot of people still perpetuate this type of thinking, that if you don't show your skin, then you won't be assaulted, and that is not true at all. All right, next slide.
This one's mine right here.
We're going to skip past this video as well. This was just another video called Guilty Clothes. And what they asked people to do was show up in a auditorium like this for a fashion show, but no models came down. And then they waited for 5 minutes, and then these models came just in plain white shirts. And in the background, it was quiet, and they just showed clothing of each and every model that was sexually assaulted and what they were wearing. Again, not that it matters, none of them were wearing mini skirts or anything like that. It was everyday clothes, and they were assaulted by family members, teachers, anybody that you could think about. Next slide. And so this is just a stat of queer people and sexual assault, because I don't think we talk about it enough. And this is when we're talking about social justice, it's important, again, that we talk about all the populations that are impacted. So sexual violence in transgender, non-binary communities, 47%, almost half of transgender people have been sexually assaulted at some point in their lives. And these rates are even higher for trans people of color. And these are just some of the percentages. So 65% are American Indian, 59% are multiracial, 58% is Middle Eastern, 53% is Black, 72% has done sex work, 65% have been homeless, and 61% have lived experience with disabilities. And at the bottom, it's 78% have been some type of harassment, 35% physical assault, and 12% sexual violence. They separated that out, but when we're doing advocacy, we encompass all of that under sexual violence umbrella. But these are some staggering stats, because as you see, everything is over half the population, but yet we don't talk enough or incorporate queer people into our advocacy when we're talking about sexual violence. But Prevention Meets Fashion does. We are allowed, we show up. I'm actually speaking at a PCAR event. And I'm bringing this up, but my title is actually, excuse my language, but I'm tired of being a fucking superhero, right? Because they look at us as wanting us to come in and save the day, but a lot of us are dealing with the same shit that we're advocating for every single day and not getting compensated for. We're expected to show up and tell these people that, telling our story back to us, we're expected to hold our shit together, and that's not just what it is. So I didn't think it was going to get accepted, but they accepted it. So that's what I'm going to go and talk about, because again, this impacts the queer community more than we think. A lot of queer people got into this helping profession, into this advocacy, social justice space, because they were victims or survivors of the things that I'm talking about today and more. Next slide. So reasons for disproportionate rates of sexual assault. Next, go ahead. So again, sexualization and dehumanization of queer people, especially bisexual and transgender folks, attempt to change a person's identity, more vulnerable to neglect from police and other authority figures. Again, that's why a lot of trans and queer people don't like to go to police, because they're victimized at higher rates for the people that they're going and asking to help them. More susceptible to poverty, homeless, and substance use. All of this can fuel sexual violence, because people just want to take care of their immediate basic needs. Next slide. So sexism in fashion. Next slide. So I always talk about double standards because it's hot outside, and we always talk about the sundress era, right? But we never talk about the gray sweatpants, right? And so when we go out and we talk about things, people always are talking about it. People always talk about, sundresses, but a lot of women, sorry y'all in gray sweatpants, but we perpetuate this stigma, right? And in a lot of communities, especially trans men community, this could be a really triggering thing, that if they have and wears gray sweatpants and don't have a print, like that could be very traumatizing for them. So when we, again, talking about these double standards and sexual assault, and we're talking about sundresses, we also need to bring up this gray sweatpants era, because a lot of women, as soon as the summer hit, was like, yes, gray sweatpants era, yes, yes, yes. But like, if someone said that about your sundress and you not having an ass in your sundress, you'll get mad, right? But no one talks about these double standards. So we need to start talking about, all of this. So this is just some of what people said online. Goodbye basketball basketball shorts, hello, gray sweatpants season. Either way, I'm ready. It's the most wonderful time of the year, and you see they zoomed in the people prints and stuff like this. All of this is still sexual violence and sexual assault, right? But because it's happening to a man, we don't take it seriously, right? And it's time for us to like stop that, right? And just talk about it in general. Next slide. So I'm going to pass this because we're getting low on time, but this is just talking about how fast fashion has also been, how can I put it? Fast fashion has been a culprit of sexual violence, sexual assault, and just a host of a bunch of things, right? So fast fashion is a maternal health issue, is a reproductive health issue, is an economic issue, is a labor issue, gender equity issue, is a gender-based violence issue. All of this happens. So when we're going to H&M and Zara and all of these events, the people that are making the clothes are being not privy, they're being subjected to many of these things. It's been a lot of women that lost their babies because they was on their feet making clothes that took them, you know, they're getting paid $2 an hour and we're paying $60 for it, right? They're being subjected to rape because, you know, their boss decides that they want to just take advantage of them for them to keep their job. So we need to start looking deeper into how fashion is still fueling some of the issues that we're trying to get away from. Next slide. Next slide. So I want to talk about the pink triangle and the Nazi regime, right? Because when we talk about social justice and talk about movements, we have to talk about this pink triangle, right? So a lot of people have resurfaced and using the pink triangle. One of the groups we should be familiar with, which is ACT UP, they used the pink triangle during their AIDS activism. But what you don't know is that a lot of the, I forgot what sneaker brand it was, put a pink triangle on their sneakers years ago and had no idea what the pink triangle was, and then advocacy happened. So we need to know that the pink triangle, if you don't know, was put on gay men or anyone that was LGBTQ during the Holocaust for them to be marked as queer folks, right? So this is part of when we're talking about social justice, we need to remember the past and how people have used clothing to harm. All right, next slide. So appropriation and codification of androgyny, you can, the next slide. So if you weren't familiar with this, it is such thing as homeless chic. So a lot of fashion designers came out with this whole homeless look. You might have known about it once Kanye West did it. You remember he dumped all his clothes in a bin and had everybody come like they were in a like going through bins. But it is a such thing as homeless chic where they appropriate poverty without actually helping the communities that they're appropriating. Next slide. We have heroin chic, which tried to make a comeback, but we were like, we're not doing this. So a couple years ago, heroin chic is an aesthetic that became popular in the 90s in the glorified thin, malnourished looking bodies with a dark eye, with makeup, disheveled clothes and clothing, and it appropriated visual imagery of heroin. This is not my word, but junkies, because that's what they used to call them back in the day, but it appropriated what people look like on heroin. And if you think about how it's being appropriated today, you see the TikTok challenge where everybody is dipping at an event, so they might be at a wedding and they just go over and start dipping, right? They're appropriating something that really is happening and harming certain communities. Although this aesthetic is associated with the 90s and fashion trends of that era, the term heroin chic was originally associated with supermodel Gia. And if you don't know who Gia is, please look Gia up. Gia is a South Philly native. Gia was also biracial. Gia actually died of AIDS, but they don't say that in the modeling world. And I put it up here. So tragically died of AIDS in 1986 at the age of 26. And heroin chic is rooted in racist hierarchies because they were saying, you know, that Kate Moss looked wonderful. It was all of this, but yet Gia was actually suffering from a heroin addiction when this whole aesthetic came out. Next slide. Sex work chic. And so sex work chic is another thing, again, where you're appropriating a sex worker aesthetic, but yet sex workers don't have rights. They can't walk down the street without being harassed by cops just because of the way that they're looking. But then you have the Kim Kardashians and all these other people who get on and wear the heels and everything like that. If we had time, I would really get into this because there's a lot of black women who, in the past, Eartha Kitt and all of them, who couldn't get jobs, even though they were really good actresses, they couldn't get jobs and did sex work, pin-ups, and all the way to full-service sex work, and don't get a credit for a lot of the aesthetics that we see today. So Beyonce wore them ballet shoes, if y'all remember, the ballet heels. Eartha Kitt actually wore that maybe 50 years prior to that, and her picture is the same. I'm not gonna get into it. I don't care. If some of y'all in here Beehive people, sorry, but that's why I really don't like her, because she knows what she knows what she does. She knows the meaning behind some stuff, but she doesn't give black people enough credit. But yes, a lot of those folks started that trend and stuff prior. So black sex workers, stigma, again, colorism, body discrimination under this sex work chic trend. Next slide. And so how do you picture androgynous people? When we think of androgynous people or androgyny, this is sometimes what we think about, right? If you was to Google androgyny, you would see this image, right? But androgyny, can you hit the slide? Androgyny is way much more, right? I want you to, next slide. I want you to think about, you know, other ways that androgyny is being seen, right? Again, this is some more ways that androgyny is seen, like a man and woman being able to wear the same clothes, like all of these things, right? Yes. Oh, okay, next slide. But this is where androgyny started, right? But we don't talk about this, right? Here you have Gladys, a black trans person who started androgyny. Like, she was bold and wore suits and, you know, could have got arrested for it, right? You have Ruth Ellis and Louisa Capetillo who revolutionized androgyny wear. Next slide. Next slide. So we're going to talk a little bit about baggy clothing, right? And so, you know, a lot of black youth are criminalized for wearing baggy clothing, but again, it's history behind that. All the way back into the 1930s and probably before, but I started here with the zoot suits. But it was a way of pushing back against society on what society said that black people or people of color, Mexicans, needed to wear. So this is where the baggy suits came from, all right? So think about that character, The Mask, where he had on that yellow baggy suit. That came out of the zoot suit era, right? And the zoot suit originated in Harlem in the 1930s, and it was adopted by London drape suit, Duke of Windsor, Edward, what's that, 5, 6, 7, 8. Earlier that decade, the zoot suit was popularized by Mexican Americans. The suit was expensive, right? So again, going back to that, you know, being seen as having money and not impoverished, right? The zoot suit became popular with the jazz community and the jazz culture, and it became a marker of class, race, a tool of protest and public resistance. People were actually arrested. Police were actually told to arrest people that they saw wearing these baggy suits, because at that time, the appropriate dress was more slimmer, you know, office wear, not these baggier clothes. Next slide. Bringing it into the hip hop aesthetic, right? So again, we are the architects of all of these things, right? But again, we're being criminalized for wearing these things. Next slide. And again, like I said, the criminalization of fashion. So the baggy pants or the sagging of the pants, the baklavas, the ski masks, the locks. And I put this picture in here. This is of the French era, where I believe it was Haiti, where women had to cover their head because their braids and hair was offensive to white women. White women didn't like that black men liked their intricate hair. They was so mesmerized by our hair texture, the different types of hair texture. So they actually passed a law called the Tegan Law, where we had to wrap our hair with either bandanas, but these women had a little more money, and they wrapped them with real pretty scarves, which now to this day they're trying to ban that, right? That we can't cover cover our heads in certain spaces unless it's for religious reasons, and even then, you know, that's subjective to some places, right? But this was an actual law that we had to cover our head because of that. I didn't get into it in here, but it's also a law too that has to do with the type of shoes that we wore. It was actually outlawed that black people couldn't wear shoes, and so we started putting jewels on our feet, and that's where you see the foot jewelry and all of that we do today that came from us not being able to do something or wear something. Next slide. And just some more criminalization of fashion. You know, this, AJ, shut up. This went down the runway where instead of hiring black models or putting hair, they did wigs, these lace front wigs on models. This was the worst right here. And I love Balenciaga. Don't get me wrong. If you know me, I'm sorry. I really do love Balenciaga. Like, I always have something on Balenciaga. Like, I love Balenciaga, but I was so mad that they came out with these, I think, $1,000 sweatpants that showed boxers. But if you don't know, in some states, you still could be arrested if your underwear shows. So they criminalized black people for wearing it, but Balenciaga came out with it, and then these black rappers went and bought these and thought it was okay. Ignorance. I was just pissed. But this is, you know, what happens. And of course, Kim Kardashian, who thought that, what's her name? Bo Derek. She thought that she invented these braids and was like, yeah, these are Bo braids. And we was like, bye, girl. Like, next slide. And so fashion has always been political, right? Next slide. So in the civil rights movement, I'm gonna go through this really fast because I'm probably past my time. But in the civil rights movement, we had civil suits, we had Sunday best, we had respectability politics, and the lunch counters sit-in dress, right? So what I say by respectability politics and Sunday's best, we still go through that, right? I'm pretty sure some people say dress up in your Sunday's best, but that was just so that we could just get by, which that was code for look like the white people, don't look like us, right? And a lot of people still follow these politics. And I have a picture here of Martin Luther King because he was famous for those respectability politics, and Malcolm X was totally against it, right? Next slide. And also the women's rights movement, right? So that's Amelia Bloomer, who came up with bloomers. That was the modern day underwear. If you know, women back then didn't wear underwear. It wasn't a thing. She was an advocate and wanted to wear pants and just something because all that material was hard to move around in. And this was revolutionary for a time because women didn't wear these. So when we say bloomers today, that's where it came from, Amelia Bloomer. In the middle, Angela Davis with the afro, right? That was showing protest for straight hair. So in the 70s, women began straightening their hair, using hot combs more, and they went back to Black Love, and she wore her afro. And then over here, you have the mini skirt protest. Again, women weren't allowed to wear mini skirts, and so the mini skirts actually came out of protest of not wanting to wear long, oversized dresses and stuff. Next slide. And then we have the Black Panther era. The Black Panther Party is a political organization founded by Huey Newton and Bobby Seale. They adopted the uniform to fight and challenge police brutality. So their uniform was blue shirts, black pants, black leather jackets, and the black berets. That was all in protest. The color black in the Black Panther era, the 60s and 70s, was again being reclaimed, was just trying to reclaim the power and pride and beauty and the stigma that black is bad. They rejected the Sunday's best. Now again, I'm not gonna go into the Black Panther era because some of those same people, Huey and Bobby, had issues with black women, especially darker black women, but we can go into that even though they did so much good. Again, black women are not protected, right? Next slide. So this is by Marcus Garvey, and I thought this quote was very powerful, but don't remove the kinks from your hair, remove them from your brain. So knowledge is power, right? Next slide. The statement t-shirt, which I have on today, right? But it was revolutionized by Vivienne Westwood in the 60s and the 80s. Catherine Hamlet, who is probably the best known for wearing this shirt down the runway that say 58% don't want perishing. So she was protesting at that time what was going on again with oil and all this other stuff. And then in 2016, Chichuri also came out with shirts, and this is one of the shirts, "We should all be feminists." Shirts came down that said, Naomi Campbell, wear a condom. Like, it really started, we started to speak through our clothing through these social justice movements. Next slide. And protest fashion and dressing. Next slide. Again, Black Lives Matter. This is where we see protest dressing coming into play. So the Black Lives Matter slogans. So Prior Moss, all of these are black designers. Ghani, JW, again, you will see me in all these designers. They are black designers. I don't have on my JW Anderson today, but I do have on, what's this, Off-White. But Prior Moss also did a whole runway show dedicated to Tamir Rice. That's where these boots, I believe, are from. Savage Fenty always does stuff. Ghani, I love Ghani if y'all not familiar with Ghani. And then J.W. Anderson as well. So they really gave into the Black Lives Matter protest fashion. Next slide. And then we get into the HIV and AIDS movement. If you don't know, I've been in this field, this HIV AIDS field for 20 plus years. So I'm very happy to first start with ACT UP. Again, they have the pink triangle that says silence equals death. They was out protesting prior to this, but these t-shirts made a statement and got them on the front page. They were protesting the high price of AZT at that time, and these t-shirts made them really pop in the media. So fashion has power. We have Naomi Campbell over here, and Mondo, who does a lot in Philly. If you don't know, Mondo was the winner of that Project Runway, and his final look, he came out as having HIV. His final look had the pluses on it, and he came out with HIV. Next slide. And so, as we're wrapping up, I just want you to be aware that Prevention Meets Fashion does have a social justice and fashion program. And under that program, we talk about gender-based violence. And also our social justice program, we do a monthly group that I'm hoping to start back up, where we talk about and really go into these issues in depth. We can do them virtually, or we can come to your organization if that's a conversation you want to have. And we really talk about the impact that fashion has on social justice movement, and also what these kids are going through today. I was involved with some kids, a group of kids, I forgot what school it was, but a group of black kids and LGBTQ kids walked out of their school here in Philadelphia because they got tired of coming in every day and an adult telling them that, oh, aren't you a little thick to wear that, talking to the black girls, or telling the queer people you shouldn't wear this because you're a man or you're this. They got tired and walked out. I think that was the only post that ever went viral that we had. I really helped them, plaster it all over social media to know that this was happening in the school district. And this was one of the schools that didn't have a dress code. And people were like, well, this is why they need a dress code. No, this is why you need to put onus on your adults to act like adults, right? Some kids can't help that they're thicker. And no adult should be telling no 14-year-old girl that you're thick, exactly. So this is some of the things that we talk about. Next slide. And so just before we go, I just do a call to action. So remember, you could design your own solution, promote education and awareness, use fashion to raise awareness to social justice issue, and remember, fashion is more than a look. Thank you.
Thank you. Whew, okay, let's give it up one more time for Nakia Outland from Prevention Meets Fashion. All right, y'all, so I'm back up here. Again, my name is Mixed Trinity Wilson, and I want to thank each and every one of y'all for being up here today. Yes, y'all saw me with my wings, but y'all get to see me in my regalia as well. So I want to say I appreciate y'all. This was our first annual. Yes, and I'm going to say annual because this kind of stuff needs to happen every single year. It doesn't matter how many people are in the seats, how many of you beautiful people are watching at home. These kind of things needs to happen. We need to be educating folks during the day instead of just trying to find them during nightlife. Because a lot of our folks are dealing with different mental health issues. A lot of our young folks are out in the community trying to figure out how to enjoy themselves, but not doing it the safest ways. And there's not always the best influence out there. So next year, I hope that this place is overly packed, not past capacity to Rotunda, just to let you know. But I do hope that this space is packed. We appreciate each and every one of you organizations who came out to support our Recharge Row. Without each and one of you being out there to give out resources, not just to the folks who came, but I did see also shout out to the folks who just were walking by and said, I need to see what this is for myself, but also see what it is for my children and anybody I love. I want to give a shout out to our sponsors really quick, because without them, how could this have happened? First, I want to give a shout out to Wegmans. Yes. Thank you. They were able to provide us some great food, some snacks, and they also were able to sponsor us with $500. So, I mean, come on. Thank you. Next, we have Philly Black Pride, who was able to do a $100 sponsorship tonight towards our Dunks and Pumps, and I'll talk a little more about that later. Our Dunks and Pumps Kiki Lounge just tonight, and then they were also able to give us $100 for the youth activation station they'll be doing tonight, which for folks who are wondering what that'll be an opportunity for you to answer trivia questions about sexual wellness, pop culture, LGBT history, and also Philly culture. So if you're looking to win a prize tonight, definitely show up. Remember, the Kiki Lounge is free. Next, we have the Rotunda, of course. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to scare you. But the Rotunda. The Rotunda has done so much, not just for us, but for the Philadelphia community as a collective. They do Kiki Lounges for us. They also allow people to get the space for free so that way they can do theater, they can do plays. If there's a way in which you need to express yourself and even do a symposium like this is a space for you. It's free, and there's a lot of conversations that you can have with management in terms of how to bring your event to fruition. This took months to plan, and I'm so glad it happened. And I want to thank the Department of Behavioral Health and Intellectual Disabilities as well. They were able to come out, educate, and talk to young folks about mental health. And then thank you to the Living Color Project for being here today to showcase the amazing art that Roscoe is creating. And is there anyone else I would love to thank? Oh, yes, our biggest sponsor and supporter for today is Vive Healthcare. They'll be out tonight for folks who are coming to the Kiki Lounge. It starts at 6, and it goes from 6 to 11. Doors open at 6, LSS is at 7. And we have a slew of categories. Again, if you want to find us on social media so that way you can read over those categories, you can find us at Well.Yes Philly. That's WELLYES. Philly, PHILLY. That's our Instagram. And again, y'all, at home, in the room, our Recharge Row, and everyone in between, thank you so much for making this event today what it is, and thank you for supporting us. And hopefully next year, no, not hopefully, because we're going to stand in it and stand on business. Next year, this place will be packed. We'll have more and then an overflow of Recharge Row participants. And each and every one of y'all that are watching me right now, and wherever land on YouTube or whatever time it is, hopefully you'll be able to be here to support. And if not, definitely check us out. We always are looking for support through financial gain. Have a wonderful day, and we'll see you tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Trinity from the Rotunda. Just want to let y'all know we have a volunteer open house tomorrow, Sunday, June 29th at 11 a.m. If you know anyone that wants to come, we appreciate you all. We look forward to next year.